Greetings, this is the Crunchifer, and this is part 2 of What If Female Deku Was the Behemoth. So, where we last left off, Izumi and Lilith had ran into Overhaul, as we open back up with Overhaul stating, "I see you have found my daughter," with Izumi and Lilith looking at Overhaul with rage. Hold on. As Lilith would lunge at Overhaul, as she would yell, "How dare you do that to somebody?" As she would slash, as Overhaul would be hit by this, as he would go back a bit. Now, as that happened, Izumi saw the opportunity to get Eri out of there, which she did. So she just picked her up and carried her off. Now, I do still remember that Eri is aged up, so there you go. As Lilith would see that they're running off, as she would kick Overhaul one more time, as she would also run off with them. As just before she leaves, she looks back at Overhaul as she would say, "The next time I see you, I will kill you." As she would look at Overhaul with a fire burning in her eyes, like a fire of rage. As she then flies off back to Izumi. As Lilith would meet back up with Izumi, as Lilith would say, "That man was all talk, no bite. I mean, all bark, no bite." Sorry about that, I was thinking. Anyway, as Izumi would then put Eri down, as she would ask Eri, why was that man using your blood for these drugs? As Eri would explain that her quirk is called Rewind, and that she can rewind a person back to a previous state in life, or she could just erase them completely from existence. As she would then explain that Overhaul was using her blood to create a drug, so that they could get rid of he could get rid of quirks by selling the drug to villains, and then selling the counter drug to heroes, and basically creating a endless war to eradicate both heroes and villains and quirks from society altogether. As Izumi and Lilith are thinking, that man is defying the gift that God had given them. Sorry about that. As Izumi and Lilith would be angered by this, as Izumi is holding it down a lot better than Lilith, as Lilith would end up punching the wall as she's yelling, "That bastard would do that? Humanity truly has fallen." As Eri would ask, "What do you mean?" As Izumi would say, "We'll tell you in time. Right now is not the best." As Eri would say, "Oh, okay." As Lilith is saying, "If I ever see that man again, I will kill him." As Izumi is trying to calm Lilith, Lilith down, because, that's what best friends are for. As Ari is currently trying to get a read on the situation, like, who are these two people? Why did they save me? And what are their quirks? As Ari would ask them what their quirks are, as Izumi and Lilith, who have been practicing for this for a while, would state their quirks, their abilities names, but they would lie and say that they're quirks, as Lilith would say that her quirk is Elder Dragon, and that she basically has this appearance as is a mutation type quirk. As Izumi would say that her quirk is behemoth, and that she can grow to a 800-kilometer tall creature, 800 kilometers tall, and she constantly has these spikes in the tail constantly, so it's technically a mutation and a transformation. Lilith also has the same ability as me, but she can only grow up to 500 kilometers, and not the full 800. As Ari would say, those are some very interesting quirks. Do you know where, as Lilith and Izumi are thinking, okay, so we'll need to find a place to stay for a bit, because we can't just keep wandering around the planet, because humans don't last that long. Now, where can we stay? As Izumi would, and since Izumi and Lilith are telepathically linked due to them being agents of God, because I'm not sure if this is actually true for Behemoth, but I'm going to put it in here for plot purposes. She would ask Lilith how much money do they have with them, as Lilith would say that we have a couple million yen on us, so we could probably get a very nice place to stay. As Izumi would ask, how many million? Because you didn't give me an exact number. As Lilith would say about 800 million, I believe. 800 million yen, yeah, that's how much we have. As Izumi would then say to her, that's quite a fair amount of money. So, they say that they don't have a place in Japan right now, so they just, as they lie and say that they just moved to Japan, and that they're currently looking for a place to stay, to study abroad. As I'll say that their mission was that God told them to go undercover in UA in order to take out All for One, who has been defying nature for the longest time, and defying God altogether. As Izumi and Lilith would say, "Come on, let's go." As they would take Eri, as they would end up buying. Sorry for the voice crack. They'd end up buying an apartment for them, as they would end up staying there for a bit, as they would then go through the 10 months of training, with Izumi basically training Eri and helping Lilith in hand-to-hand combat. As Lilith would continue to give out sass anytime the situation called for it. I can't think of anything sassy she would say at this moment in time, so I'm terribly sorry if I can't come up with any sass. so do forgive me. But, like, I do quite like this little character trait for some characters, so I'm gonna give it to her, just to see if you guys like it. Anytime she says something sassy, she does the snap thing. You know, like when they snap their, when they snap their fingers, their thumb and in an V pattern. Yeah, she does that anytime she's being sassy. As Izumi does find it a bit annoying, but it's basically her best friend, so she doesn't really do much about it. As over the 10 months, Izumi and Eri's relationship would grow a lot stronger. As Eri would actually feel a lot more comfortable around Lilith and Izumi than any other person. Seriously, but it's about as bad as if you put her in a room with a bunch of random people and Izumi and Lilith aren't there. Eri won't talk to anybody at all. Like, if they came up to communicate to her, she wouldn't say anything. Sorry about that, I had a hiccup there. Damn it, voice crack. Sorry, I had a hiccup. Anyway, as the end of the 10 months would come about, as Izumi, Lilith, and Eri would then head for the UA entrance exam. Now, give me a minute, I'm going to show you what Eri looks like at this moment. Hold on. Alright, so this is what Eri looks like. If you're wondering why it isn't in the behemoth folder, it's because I had it in a separate folder for a separate wife, so do forgive me. So give me a second. There we go. As all three of them would then head into UA. Into UA's main entrance, as they would sit in the auditorium area. As they would take the written portion of the entrance exam. Now, Izumi and Lilith have basically passed this test with flying colors, as they know about all the events throughout history and throughout human civilization, since they were there for most of it. Actually, all of it. They were there for all of it. Well, I mean, Izumi was there for all of it. Lilith was there for a portion of it, so Izumi did educate Lilith on some of the events that happened while she was still up and walking around. And Eri would, I'll say, first place, Lilith and Izumi get first, and Eri gets second. As they would then get to the physical portion of the entrance exam, where they're in the auditorium, as President Mike would begin to talk about the 1-pointers, the 2-pointers, and the 3-pointers. As when he was about to get onto the 0-pointers, Ida shot up and pointing out that UA doesn't have any there are 4 robots on this piece of paper on the sheet and not 3, and if this is an oversight by UA, I am very disappointed. As Izumi would shoot up, I should say, he was just about to cover it, so if you could kindly shut your mouth, that would be very good. As Ida was about to talk back, as Izumi basically gave him a death glare, as Ida would then shut up and sit back down. As we then finally get to the physical portion of the entrance exam, where Izumi and Eri are at the same gate, but Lilith is at her own, because Lilith requested that she be separated, because if they have 2 powerhouses, which are basically Izumi and Lilith there, the test isn't going to last long. As they then get to as Eri and Izumi are walking towards the entrance, like the gate to the testing grounds, Ida tries to grab Eri by her shoulder, as Izumi would grab Ida's forearm and, like, applying a lot of pressure to it, as she'd say, "Don't touch her." As Ida's basically scared by her at this point, as Izumi would let go of Ida's arm, as Ida would be grabbing at it, as Eri, being a little bit flustered, would say, "You didn't have to do that." As Izumi would say, "Well, I kind of had to. I know how uncomfortable you can get in these types of situations, so it's best if I shut that down before it even happens." As Eri would say, "Yeah, you're right." As we then make it to the, give me a minute. Alright, back to the story. As they would make their way to the gate, as President Mike would do the countdown, as once he got to 2, Izumi broke down the gate door as she would run in along with Eri. And on Lilith's end, she had the same idea, as she would also break down her gate and run through. As people on their respective ends would say, they shouldn't be doing that, they should be disqualified from the entrance exams. As President Mike would say, "There are no real countdowns in a villain attack, follow their lead and go." As they would then make their way through the area, with Izumi and Eri Izumi leaving a path of carnage, and Eri leaving, barely, not much left, because she's rewinding to the robots down to their basic components, so basically like iron and metal plates and all that. As this would go on for a while, as Eri, Izumi, and Lilith would have a fair amount of points. So Izumi would be first with 350 villain points, Lilith with 320, and Eri with 330. So Eri is above Lilith in points. As the 0-pointer would show up, as Eri's first instinct is to run because, basic human response, fear. Izumi was about to head because it would have been a waste of time, until they heard a girl cry out for help. As they would turn around, as they would see a brown-haired girl who was stuck underneath the rubble. As Eri would say that we have to save them. As Izumi would look at Eri, as Eri is looking towards Izumi with the look of, "Please help them," as Izumi says, "Okay, we'll help them," as they both run towards the 0-pointer, as Eri would be trying to get Uraraka out of the rubble, and Izumi would help them, as the 0-pointer would launch a punch, as the punch would land, and a bunch of the pro heroes watching this were about to run out in case any of these students were hurt, as they would then continue looking at the monitor in shock and awe, as they'd see that Izumi had stopped the punch. As she would grow to about the same size as a 0-pointer, grab the front of its head and the back of it, and then twist, as the 0-pointer would fall to the ground. As Izumi would then shrink back down, as she would help Eri with getting Uraraka out of the rubble. As Uraraka would thank them both and ask what's their names. As Eri would say her name. Eri would say that her name was Eri and that this is Izumi. And they have another friend who's participating in the entrance exam as well, whose name is Lilith. But she's in a separate area from them. As was about to say something, as President Mike it would announce time's up, everybody leave the area, and you'll get your results within I think it was 1 to 2 weeks. And for those who have failed the UA entrance exams, better luck next time. As Izumi and Eri would meet back up with Lilith, as Lilith would say, "That was an exhausting match." As Izumi and Eri would say, "Yeah, we had to fight a 0-pointer in ours." As Lilith would say, "You guys fought a 0-pointer? I didn't even get to do that. Man, this sucks." As Izumi would pat Lilith on the head, as she'd say, "Hey, better luck next time then." As Lilith would say, You're right. I will fight a 0-pointer next time, and I will win. Because I am the baddest, as Izumi would say, would cover Lilith's mouth, as she'd say, no swearing, no." As Lilith would say, "Fine," as they'd then head back to their place. And that is where I'm going to end it off. I do hope you guys enjoy this, and I will see you all next time. Now, tomorrow I will be uploading the next part to Zombie Dragon, so those of you who want to Void Goddess, Goddess of the Void, that will come after that. So anyway, thanks for watching, and I will see you all next time. Ta-ta!